while also being really thorough in my explanations, because I wanted to make sure that like everyone understood I knew what I was talking about and I knew how to prove it. And I also thought it was like, really important to understand the reasoning as to why each son was being eliminated each round. And I also wanted to continue meeting my high expectations that I set for myself of like achieving over what I would originally expect for myself to get in any normal class. And then overall, I've solved a lot of new challenges this year, and I feel like I've become more thorough in my work and like finding a passion within something to make myself work harder for it. And I think this also affects my future life because this has made me realize I want to do something in a medical field, whether it's a pathologist, anesthesiologist, or something like that, which also affects my future life and what I'm going to do in college. And then that's also going to like cause me to find a passion within everything I'm learning to make sure I work hard at it and I stay really thorough and that I like stay invested in my work. And I also set a lot of new high expectations for myself, which I think is a really good thing to start doing, especially now, so that I continue working this hard for like future years and in college, which has also changed my work ethic. And overall, I think I've improved a lot throughout this year in like the quality of my work and my grades overall. And looking forward, as I said, I want to continue in like the biology or science field, whether it's like double majoring in biology and chemistry or like majoring in one, minoring in the other. And I just want to continue solving through things and like figuring out why things work the way they do, and just like focus and use all the skills I've discovered to meet my very high expectations for myself. Thank you for coming. Any questions?
The panel's just going to take a minute to think of our questions. Just bear with us for a moment.
Yes, it's full.
I know that you focus mostly on biology because that's kind of where you discovered this newfound passion. What are you looking ahead to for, say, next year? Like you just signed up for classes. Is there anything that you're looking at? You're like, oh, I can't wait to kind of solve, and maybe not in the sciences.
Yeah. So when I've picked classes like before, like when I was in 8th grade picking classes for freshman year, and last year I was picking like classes for this year, I didn't really pick classes like based on something that like I would like. Like I just kind of picked, not really caring what I ended up in. If I didn't really like it, I just switched whenever the sheets came out. But I feel like when I was going through this year, I was picking classes that seemed like actually very interesting to me, that I would like to work in and like figuring out like what's happening and why it's happening, and then something that I would like be able to work hard in and actually enjoy my learning in, which would also have me solve more different like problems that I'm not used to, and just figuring out new things and why they work.
Is there anything in particular? Any thoughts?
I'm very excited for anatomy and physiology. I don't know if I'm taking it next year or senior year, but I'm taking it one of them, and I'm very excited for that. And I'm usually like not an English person, but I found some English classes that sound really interesting to me, so I'm actually excited for those to like actually be passionate about something in an English class, even though I don't usually like English.
What was your favorite project?
Definitely the frog dissection lab. I don't know why, it's just very intriguing to me, just like seeing an actual like living thing's internal organs. So, Anna?
So each project that you presented, you thoroughly explained it, so I don't have a lot of questions, but I guess I want to know, of all the pieces that you showed us today, which one do you think you grew from?
I think I probably grew from the Punnett Square Challenge the most, because that was when I really started to thoroughly explain my work and like make sure that it was like so clear and concise that like anyone that wasn't in the class would understand what we had to do and like what the results were. And I think like in my past reflections, I more reflected on like me as a person, on how I liked it, but in that I reflected on like the project itself. Is there more?
I'm wondering if you can share with us something from the year, a project perhaps from a different class that was challenging, something where despite your best efforts, you didn't make the progress that you wanted.
So I think one of those projects would be in my English class this semester, and we had to create a roadmap of a book that we read. And I don't really enjoy reading at all, but if I find a good book that I like, I'll read the whole thing, like I'll sit down and read it. And I also don't really like my teacher for that class, so it's just kind of a lose-lose situation. but I think I really struggled on
You
this.
said that from Mrs. Ford.
Okay,
Jeez.
Miss Ford isn't my teacher
Oh, come on.
though.
I liked it better when they all assumed that I was.
No. So I think I struggled a lot in that one because even though like I sat down, we were about to leave for a game that was like an hour and a half away. I think it was before our like first playoff game. Like I was sitting down and I was like working on it, and she was like, I want everyone to do their homework and then go shoot around. And I was like working really hard, and I was like, no matter how much work I put into this, she's still not gonna give me a good grade. Even though I was like trying to be as thorough as I could with my explanations, we had to like give quotes on different events that were important throughout the character's life. So I thought that one was really challenging because I felt like I put a lot of work into it for not enjoying the class, and I still didn't do as well as I wanted to. So I started working a lot harder in her class, and now I'm just trying my best to make sure she knows I know what I'm talking about and that I know what's happening. Is there anyone?
Did you ever go to that teacher or another teacher for extra help when you ran into a conflict like that?
I have not yet, but I usually ask her during class for help because she like walks her. Our class is really small, and she like walks around and gives one-on-one like time, just like ask for questions and help. And like usually I do, but then she explains it, and I'm like I still don't get it, and she's like, oh well, it's not my fault. And I'm just like, oh okay. So I've like tried, and then that just makes me not want to try, cause like, you know. But I'm still doing my best, pushing through the last part of the semester, trying to just keep going. This forward.
This is a less question, more just like an observation, but it was popping up a lot for me while you were presenting, and I just want to kind of put it out in the universe and let you know, and your panel and audience know that when you are starting to apply to colleges, the progress of not great grades freshman year, a little bit better sophomore year, better junior year, better senior, that is a lot more appealing to a college than somebody who gets A's and A's and then drops down to B's and C's by senior year. So you're on the right trajectory for when you are applying to colleges, because I know you have some big dreams and hopes around that. So I just want you to know that, you know, it's never too late to really turn things around. So it feels like the progress I've seen you make this year, it feels like you are really heading in that direction, and, you know, making sure that you do find that passion for, you know, whatever you can, and, you know, realize what is special about you and what is special about your classes, I think is something that, you know, as you gain maturity, I think it's going to be a lovely process for you.
Anyone else have any questions?
Or comments?
Alyssa?
So first off, Alyssa, your presentation was really neat and organized and you did great, but I do have a question. So, I know that a lot of like biology projects are group projects. How do you think like your love for biology affects you when you're in a group setting?
So I think it depends on who I'm working with, but if it's someone who like doesn't really care for the class and then I care a lot, I feel like even if I try and like explain to them like what they have to do and what their part of it is, they're just like, yeah, I don't really care. And then that like affects me because I feel like I have to put more work in, because like I like things to be the way I like them. You know this. So if it doesn't turn out like as something I'm proud of overall, like I will fix it. Like for our RUTF, I wrote the whole script because I didn't like how it was. And like everyone was like, I don't know what to write, and I was like, okay, I'll write the whole thing then. So I think it just, depending on like the person, like if they are like invested in their work and like they care about their grades as well, the project will turn out really well. But then if it's someone that I have to like explain everything to and then like make sure they understand the same way I understand, it's a lot more challenging because they have to do that on top of all the work we have to do. Yeah. Taylor?
This is feedback, but your presentation was really good. You're very confident, professional, and you obviously knew what you were talking about, and you were obviously passionate about what you were presenting. So I'm just like, overall, I'm just proud of you. So good job.
Phil?
I think you did a really great job expressing like the not just academic growth, but just like the growth and passion that you have in learning this year, and it made me like at points excited for you. So it's just a great job like expressing that passion.
Thank you. Hannah?
I wanted to say that I really like your learning focus for this and how each project was like, it had a theme of biology. I think it made your presentation really unique because a lot of people, as I've seen, not that there's anything wrong with them, but there's a lot of procrastination and time management. So this made your presentation stand out and you really knew what you were talking about. So it was really cool.
I'm just wondering, do you have an idea of what you want to like pursue in the future, or is it just like biology right now?
So I either want to be an anesthesiologist because I like watching surgeries. Like as I said, I like watch Grey's Anatomy. I've watched it like 3 times through, which is a lot. And so I definitely either want to do like anesthesia because even though it's like such a big role, I don't have to actually like worry about like messing up cutting their organs open, you know. So like even though like I have to make sure I don't kill them with the amount of anesthesia, I still get to like see the surgery while doing something important. Or I want to be like, you know how like they have autopsies. Or I want to do that.
That's gross.
Well, Ms. Delaney, you began the presentation by saying that you don't set very high expectations for yourself. And then you proved that that was really not true. One of the things I enjoyed hearing was not just that you have high expectations for yourself, but your commitment to making sure the people you're working with understand the material as well. And I know you pay attention to grades, but I also know that your passion is much more in the learning and understanding and exploring, and that's evident in everything you shared. And I admire that, and it's a joy to hear you speak about your learning and to see that enthusiasm. And you know, whether you choose to be a surgeon or in any other